there is another important issue that I'd like to discuss today, and that is because of the occasion of the birth of Our Lady Fatima Zahra Salamullahi alayha. And that question is the rulings of hijab. And perhaps I'd promised the ladies and the sisters that I would be talking about the ahadith of hijab. So there are numerous ahadith about hijab and about the limits of hijab and what do women have to cover in public and what they do not need to cover. And it's important to understand these ahadith, inshallah ta'ala. So I'll start from this hadith from Qurb al-Isnad, or let me start from another hadith. There's a hadith that's commonly attributed to Fatima Zahra Salamullahi alayha, and that states that it's the best thing, the most fortunate thing for a woman, it is that she never sees a man and a man never sees her. So, and some people then come and condemn Islam or Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salatu was-salam, or the institution of hijab, that how this could be the case, this is not possible. So this hadith actually is an Umari hadith, it's not a Shia hadith. It's not been narrated in our books. The only book that has narrated, that's a Shia book, is Kashf al-Ghumma. Kashf al-Ghumma fi Ma'rifat al-A'imma alayhim as-salam, volume number 2, and page 94. And that without any chain of narration. And of course, Kashf al-Ghumma, as you would know, those of you who have been watching my speeches, I've mentioned numerous times that Kashf al-Ghumma generally brings in and narrates non-Shia hadith, which are relevant to Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salam. So this is not even, if it isn't Kashf al-Ghumma, it doesn't mean it's a Shia hadith. It is a hadith of the Mukhalifin. So this states that the Amir al-Mu'minin says that we were with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, and he said, inform me, أي شيء خير للنساء, what is good for women? What is the best thing for women? So we didn't know what to answer. So I went to Fatima Zahra salamullahi alayha and told her what the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had asked, and none of us knew. And none of us knew the answer. So at that time, Lady Fatima salamullahi alayha replied, ولكني أعرف, I know the answer to this question. خير للنساء أن لا يرين الرجال ولا يراهن الرجال. The best thing for a woman, or the best thing for women, is that they wouldn't see any men, and any men would not see them. So this would be a very extreme case of hijab, that a woman should never see a man, and any man should never see, that's outside of the household, would see a woman. And then Amir al-Mu'minin says that I went in from the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, you didn't know the answer. Who informed you? I said, Fatima Zahra salamullahi alayha. And then the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Fatima bad'atun minni. Fatima is my flesh. So this hadith doesn't have any validity or any credibility, I should say, any credibility in Shia sources. So, and it has been narrated through a chain of narration, or maybe through more than one chain of narration in non-Shia books. This حلية الأولياء والطبقات الأصفياء للحافظ أبو نعيم الإسبهاني, volume number 2, published by Dar al-Kutub al-Ilmiyya. Here on page number 40. So he narrates this on the authority of Anas, and the second on, again on the authority of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salatu wassalam. So this hadith, you should not really pay much attention to it because it's not credible. Okay, another hadith from Hazrat Fatima Zahra salamullahi alayha, that is pertinent to the question of hijab, and that relates to a blind man. So let me narrate this. The second hadith that I'm about to narrate, this is in Shia books. This book is Qurb al-Isnad لأبي العباس عبد الله بن جعفر الحميري القمي, published by Nainawa in Tehran before the revolution of Khomeini. This book was published. In this book, at page 95, there's this hadith that Al-Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam narrates from his father, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, that Fatima, the daughter of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ista'adhana alayha a'ma fahajabathu. A blind man asked permission to enter. So Lady Fatima salamullahi alayha is in the presence of her father, and a blind man wants to come in. And the Bibi salamullahi alayha, As-Siddiqa Tahira salamullahi alayha, she does not allow this person to enter. فَحَجَبَتْهُ. She did not allow him to enter. فَقَالَ لَهَا النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَآلِهِ لِمَا حَجَبْتَهُ. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, why did you not permit him to enter? وَهُوَ لَا يَرَاكَ. And he cannot see you. فقالت يا رسول الله إن لم يراني فأنا أراه وهو يشم الريح. So the ladies salamullahi alayha said, Ya Rasulullah, if he doesn't see me, I see him, and he smells the odor. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله, النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said, أشهد أنك بضعة مني. I testified that indeed you are my flesh. So in this hadith, first of all, let's establish a few things. We do not question the validity of this hadith. However, this hadith clearly indicates that if a blind man comes, it's not necessary for a woman to cover herself, because the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam indeed considered that permissible. Now, with relevance to the response of Siddiqa Tahira salamullahi alayha, she said, In lam yarani fa ana ara. If he doesn't see me, I see him. So perhaps she was in the presence of her father, and perhaps she was not wearing hijab. And so if this person comes and the Bibi Salam, the lady Fatima Zahra Salamullah alaiha, does not want to be in the presence of another man, although he cannot see while she's not wearing hijab, while she's not fully covered. It could be that, or perhaps there could be something specific about this individual that the lady Salamullah alaiha does not want to see him. Yeah, he cannot see me, but I see him. I see him. So about this specific person, I don't want to see him. There could be something specific about this person. وَهُوَ يَشُمُّ الرِّيحِ. And then the other thing is that he smells odor. So now, inshallah tabarak wa ta'ala, I'll read the hadith to you. It's not permissible for a woman to apply perfume for any man other than her husband. So perhaps on this occasion, the lady Salamullah alaiha had, especially when she says, وَهُوَ يَشُمُّ الرِّيحِ, he smells, he senses the odor, he senses the smell. So perhaps she was wearing some sort of a perfume, and she did not want this man to smell her perfume. So now, this hadith, obviously, it's totally permissible for a woman to see a man. It's not permissible for a woman to apply perfume and then expose her good smell to men. That's not permissible. But looking at a man, there's no prohibition in that regard. So this hadith, we have to understand, is quite with care and carefully and closely. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says to Fatima Zahra salamullahi alayha, why did not allow him to come in? And he doesn't see you. So it indicates that the lady salamullahi alayha did not have hijab on. So the question of seeing Siddiqa Tahira salamullahi alayha is mute, that he will not see her. And then the response of this. So therefore itself, it indicates that if a blind man comes in, you don't have to do hijab. Now, the lady Salamullah alaiha says that, yes, but I would see him and he smells my smell. So that indicates that either the lady Salaam Alaiha does not want to see this specific person, and she might have applied some sort of perfume, or it's not. She doesn't want to be seen in the presence of another man, although that man is blind, because she's not she doesn't have her hijab on. Okay. Or there could be another explanation that I do not understand. So Allah knows. Allah knows the best. Now we come to these were some hadith that are not really, that are relevant to our discussion. Nonetheless, they're not very central to our discussion, but they are brought in commonly when we are discussing hijab, and these ahadith are a lot of times misunderstood. So that's why I brought them in the beginning. Now let's go to the ahadith and the verses of the Noble Quran with regard to hijab that establish what is hijab. So with regard to hijab, you will see inshallah tabaraka wa ta'ala, there is no ruling in Islam for a woman to cover her face. There's no ruling for that. And then can she expose any of her hair? Her hair, with regard to the verse of the Noble Quran in the hadith of Satr, I've not seen anywhere where it's required that she cannot expose any of her hair. I have not seen anything like that. Yes, she has to have a headscarf on, but if some of her hair is visible, for instance, the roots of her hair or some parts, is it she required to cover that? I have not seen anything that would require her. However, it's not permissible for men to look at her hair. That's a totally different ruling. They're not mutually necessary. Then on the question, then of course hands, she doesn't have to cover hands, and that area where usually she wears bracelets. That area, because usually bracelet is not after the wrist, as you know that, right? Bracelet is a portion of forearm that covers bracelet. So that area, wrist, and that area that usually she has bracelets over, that's been forgiven, that's allowed, that she doesn't have to cover, and also her feet. And then with regard to makeup, so that's the verse of Noble Quran is clear that she can have makeup. And with regard to the choice of her dress, as long as she's covering the rest of her body, she can have any sort of dress she wants, any color, it could be beautiful, it could be good looking dress. She doesn't have to cover them. Okay. She does. But then inshallah tabarak wa ta'ala will come that and all of this has to be within the bounds of modesty. And what is modesty? Inshallah tabarak wa ta'ala. What's haya? Haya, modesty. Inshallah tabarak wa ta'ala, we will talk about that. Okay, let's start with the verses. Surah An-Nur. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is Surah An-Nur, verse number 30 and 31. قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ. Say to faithful men that they have to cast down and avert their gaze. Min absarihim, their eyes. They have to cast down their eyes. So غض النظر, غض البصر means to bend down your head and close your eyes. That's what it means. Look down and close your eyes. That is غض البصر, غض النظر. That's what it means. يغض من أبصارهم, to put your head down and close your eyes. Okay. وَيَحْفَظُوا مِنْ فُرُوجِهِمْ, and protect your private parts. ذَلِكَ أَزْكَى لَهُمْ. This is better for them, cleaner for them. إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا يَصْنَعُونَ. Allah Ta'ala, verily He knows what they do. Okay, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ, and say to the believing women, يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ, to cast down their eyes, وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ, and to protect their private parts. Now, this is the literal translation, and this doesn't have to do with anything with hijab. This is with the questions of well, it has to do something with hijab, and I'll explain that. Has to do more with looking, Now, what does it mean that cast down your eyes and to protect your private parts? So, cast down your eyes means that men cannot look at other men's private parts. That's what it basically means. It doesn't have anything to do with looking at the Well, it has to do It has to do with looking with women also. But the part that says protecting your private parts, it means that you should not allow other people to see your private parts. That's what it means. So it doesn't have to do, when it says protect your private parts, it doesn't mean that you have to refrain from zina. It means that do not allow someone else to see your private parts. Okay. In the book of Al-Furu' min al-Kafi, volume number 5, page number 521, there's this hadith here. This verse number 30, how it was revealed. So it states that there was a woman from Ansar. A woman was walking in Medina, and there was a young man from the Ansar. استقبل شاب من الأنصار امرأة بالمدينة. There was a woman in Medina, and a young man from the Ansar, he encountered her. He saw her. وَكَانَ النِّسَاءُ يَتَقَنَّعْنَ خَلْفَ آذَانِهِنَّ. So headscarves at that time, women would put on their headscarves behind their ears. So that would indicate to me, what I understand from this phrase, is that they wouldn't cover all of their forehead, all of the front of their head, all of the hair. So a portion of their head is visible, and the headscarf comes down behind their ears. Or maybe it's like they put it here and then bring it back behind their ears, maybe like that. Understand what I'm saying? I had a scarf here, I'll show you. Maybe they put it down, bring it down on the sides, or put it here and then bring it behind their ears. يَتَقَنَّعْنَ. Women would cover their heads خلف, at the behind of their ears, or to the behind of their ears. So you could translate it either way. So that's not clear to me. Okay, so this young man sees this woman coming, and as she was passing by, he kept looking at her, kept gazing. And then this وَدَخَلَ فِي زَقَاقٍ, and he entered into an alley. And when he entered in the alley, he was looking at her, and he hit a wall. In the wall, there was a bone, and there or glass. So he cut his face, and he saw the blood is coming. He was very embarrassed. See, he went to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw him, that he's bloody, his clothes are full of blood. Asked him what happened. He told the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he had been looking at this woman, and then he entered an alley and he hit his face to a wall. So Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam came, and he brought down this verse, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. Say to the believing men to gaze down, to look down, to cast down their eyes. وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ, and protect their private parts. That's cleaner for them, more proper for them. إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا يَصْنَعُونَ. Allah knows what they are doing. Okay, in Tafsir al-Qummi, Ali ibn Ibrahim al-Qummi, volume number 2, and some other books as well. This hadith is from Al-Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam. كل آية في القرآن في ذكر الفروج فهي من الزنا إلا هذه الآية فإنها من النظر فلا يحل لرجل مؤمن أن ينظر إلى فرج أخيه ولا يحل للمرأة أن تنظر إلى فرج أختها. So wherever the hadith states, wherever in Quran private parts are mentioned, protecting private parts, it means to refrain from zina. from adultery and fornication. Except in this verse. In this verse, it means do not allow another person to see your private parts. يحفظوا فروجهم, protect your private parts, verse number 30 and 31. They're twice mentioned, right? One for women and one for men. To protect, men should protect their private parts and women should protect their private parts. Means that you have to cover your private parts. So other men should protect it from other men. So other men don't see your private parts, your sexual organs, and women also should protect their private parts, cover them, hide them, so other women do not see their private parts. In the book of Usul min al-Kafi, volume number 2, there's a long hadith that Iman is obligatory on all parts of the body. All body parts have their share of Iman. The eye, the ear, the nose, the mouth, the tongue, the heart. It's a very long hadith. So, with respect to the iman of the eyes, Al-Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam says the following: وَفَرَضَ عَلَى الْبَصَرِ أَنْ لَا يَنْظُرَ إِلَى مَا حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it obligatory, made iman obligatory upon the eyes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what is the iman of the eye? The eye is that a person may not use his eyes to look at any scene that Allah has prohibited its sight. وَأَنْ يُعْرِضَ عَمَّا نَهَى اللَّهُ عَنْهُ. And that one should turn away, one should avoid seeing a scene that Allah has forbidden seeing. مِمَّا لَا يَحُلُّ لَهُ. That's not permissible for us to see. وَهُوَ عَمَلُهُ وَهُوَ مِنَ الْإِيمَانِ. This is the action of the eye, and this is Iman. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Noble Quran, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ. Say to the believing men that cast down your eyes and protect your private parts. So what does this mean, this verse? فَنَهَاهُمْ أَنْ يَنْظُرُوا إِلَىٰ عَوْرَاتِهِمْ وَأَنْ يَنْظُرَ الْمَرْءُ إِلَىٰ فَرْجِ أَخِيهِ وَيَحْفَظَ فَرْجَهُ أَنْ يُنْظَرَ إِلَيْهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited and forbidden that man should look at other people's private parts, or that a man should look at the private part of his brother, and that he must protect his private part. أَنْ يُنْظَرَ إِلَيْهِ. Hide it, protect it, so another person would not see your private part. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ مِنْ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ. And say to the believing woman, يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ, to cast down their eyes, to avert their gaze. وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ, and to protect their private parts. What does this mean? This means that they should avoid, a woman is not allowed, مِنْ أَنْ تَنْظُرَ إِحْدَاهُنَّ إِلَى فَرْجِ أُخْتِهَا, that a woman should gaze at the private part of her sister. وَتَحْفَظَ فَرْجَهَا مِنْ أَنْ يُنْظَرَ إِلَيْهَا. And it's obligatory upon her that she should protect her private parts so nobody would see her private parts. And this is also narrated in the Kitab of Tafsir of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam. The same meaning that Al-Ni'mani rahmatullahi alayhi has brought in his Al-Ghayba, and Shaykh Hurr Amali also narrates that hadith from Al-Ghayba of Ni'mani from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam. The same interpretation of this verse that I mentioned to you, I related to you from Al-Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam. Okay, let's go to Surah An-Nur again. So we were discussing these, verse number 30 and 31. قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. Verse number 30, we read it. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ. Until here, we finished, right? Now, وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ. Now, we are coming to hijab. This relates to hijab. وَلَا يُبْدِينَ. And they should not display. They should not make visible their zina, their beauty. Zina is ornaments. Zina is all those things that women use for beautification. Um, that could be jewelry, that could be makeup, anything. They are not allowed to display, make public, make visible their zina. Zina is jewelry and makeup, anything that beautifies a woman, or clothes that are had a scarf that's beautiful, right? إلا ما ظهر منها, except those that are already visible, except those that are visible. So, except the visible ones, except the ones that are already naturally visible, she's not allowed to expose the rest of her um, ornaments of beauty and makeup or anything that's used that is zina. Okay, what does this verse mean? So this verse clearly states that all displays of makeup and all displays of jewelry and ornaments is not forbidden. Some are forbidden, some are not forbidden. Those that are allowed to be displayed and be visible by the public, those are ma dhahara minha. Those are that are already visible. So this needs clarification from Hadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salatu was-salam. So we'll go to Hadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. This is the tafsir of Qummi, Ali ibn Ibrahim Qummi, the teacher of Kulayni rahmatullah alayh, volume number 2. Page number 101. This hadith is from Al-Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam. وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ. So women are not allowed to make public, to make visible their zina, ornaments of beauty and makeup, except that which are visible. Okay, that which are apparent, that which are visible. What are they? Imam alayhi salam said, فَهِيَ الثِّيَابِ. These are the clothings. The clothings. So thawb, Arabs used to call any clothing is not thawb. Thawb is literally the thawb is the piece of cloth that they used to wrap around their waist and on their chest and on their shoulders for men, and women also used to do that. So this, which I don't want to translate as loincloth, because loincloth is a little, in the Western, at least media, it's very small and tiny. But Arabs used to have long ones. They would cover from their waist all the way to their ankles. And then for the top of their body, they used to have also a covering. So women also used to use this kind of sort of clothing. So that's one meaning of thiyab. Yeah, but over here it's not specific to that. It's just clothing, general clothing. So general clothing, if it's beautiful, it looks good, it is colorful, that's fine. If the headscarf is beautiful, it is colorful, that's fine. If beauty in these things, zina in these things, to expose them, to make them public, has been clearly permitted by the noble Quran and Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. فَهِيَ الثِّيَابِ. The first is clothing. So your clothing can be an object of ornament, an object of beautification, an object of zina. That's allowed. وَالْكُحْلِ. After that, it comes the makeup. Makeup, kuhl. Kuhl is that, kuhl, I think they call it kuhl also in English. So, in Urdu, they call it surma. In Persian, they call it surma. Kuhl is basically a rock. They grind it very finely, and then women put it in their eyes and their eyebrows to outline their eyes, to make it look bigger and nicer and blacker and darker. So that is their makeup. Wal khatam, and then khatam, rings on your fingers. So women can expose those. Wa khidab al-kaf. Wa khidab al-kaf. Khidab is henna. In English, they call it henna, I think. In Arabic, they call it henna. In Urdu, they call it henna. So the dye, basically, is a natural dye, plant-based dye that you can use to dye your hands. However, and inshallah, I'll tell you, on the raha is the this side of hand. So this is cuff. The whole thing is cuff. Okay, raha is here. This part. This part is raha. These are fingers. Fingers are not included in raha. If you draw here, that's not allowed with henna. Drawing in raha, that's not allowed. There's a hadith prohibiting that. But if you just apply henna or you draw here, apparently that's allowed. Okay. So khidab of your hands, that's allowed. Khidab means henna. That in the old days it was very, even still today in India and Pakistan, and Arabs too, that's very, very common. Women do all the time. They do with henna on their hands. Okay. Was siwar, and then bracelets. And then bracelets. So these are allowed. These are allowed. So you can go in public, you can go to offices, you can go to school. Men could see that. There's no prohibition with regard to that. So clothing, surma or kuhul in the eye. What they call it, women call it kuhul these days. They don't usually, I don't think in the West they use kuhul. What they use is outliner or something, the women call it. I don't exactly know what they call it. At any rate, they're like pencils these days women use, right? They use for the eyes. And finger rings for your fingers and bracelets. And these are just examples. So if there are new things that at that time women didn't use, and it comes within this description, إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهُ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا, those objects of zina that are already public within these areas, in your clothing, in your face, in your hands, so you don't have to hide them. Of course, all of that within the bounds of modesty. So you cannot just wear any sort of clothing. Yeah, if you lose haya, then yeah, of course. And then you lose iman. It's very important to stay within the bounds of respect and haya. Okay, was zina to thalas. Zina are three. Zina are three kinds. Zinatun lil nas, wa zinatun lil mahram, wa zinatun lil zawj. Women have three types of zina. One zina is for the public. One zina is for your family. And one zinat is for your husband. For your husband. Okay, zinat for the public. أما زينة الناس فقد ذكرناه. Zina for people, for the public, we just mentioned. Clothes, if you can wear any type of beautiful clothes you want. And then on your face, you can apply objects of ornament and makeup. And on your hands, on your skin, on bracelets, right? So they could be visible. So therefore, because this area of bracelets is allowed to be, you're not required to cover it. Okay, so your sleeves do not have to really come all the way to your wrists. But although it's a better idea to bring them down, to me it seems that it's not necessary to bring it all the way to the wrists. Okay, so this is the ornaments and beautification that's permissible, that you can make it visible to the public. وَأَمَّا زِينَةُ الْمَحْرَمِ, zina within the family, for your brothers, for your sisters, for your father-in-law, for your mother-in-law, for your uncles, right? All those people whom you cannot marry. If you didn't have a husband, you could not marry. So they are your maharim. Your father's brother, these people. Your mother's brother. For them, فَمَوْضِعُ الْقَلَّادَةِ فَمَا فَوْقَهَا وَالدَّمْلَجُ وَمَا دُونَهَا وَالْخَلْخَالُ وَمَا أَسْفَلَ مِنْهُ. So the area of your chest, this area in your chest, so the bosom of a woman, the chest of a woman, where she would wear a necklace. You can make it, your father sees it, your brothers, your uncle sees, no problem with that. All that area. where usually you make women wear their necklaces, right? This qallada necklace could come down until here, right? So all that area. And dumluj. So dumluj is like bracelet, but the woman used to wear it on their arms. On their arms. So all this area from arms, you could make it visible to your family, to your uncles, right? And khalkhal wa ma asfala minhu. Khalkhal is like bracelet, but for the feet, for the ankles. So that area you could make it visible to your family. So that is the area that your family can see, your uncles, your father, your grandfather, all those people. Okay, your father-in-law. وأما زينة للزوج فالجسد كله. And the zina for your husband, that's all your body. So there's no requirement of covering between husband and his wife. This is the book of Al-Furu' min al-Kafi, volume number 5. Let me show you something here. So, this is Al-Furu' min al-Kafi lil-Kulayni rahmatullah alayh, volume number 5, page number 521. قلت له ما يحل للرجل أن يرى من المرأة إذا لم يكن محرما. I said to Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam, what parts of the body from of a woman you can see if you're not her mahram? He said, الوجه والكفان والقدمان. Is her face and her 2 hands and her 2 feet. Okay. This is with regard to looking. The rulings of looking is not exactly the same as ruling of the obligation of covering. Okay. Hadith number 3. Zurara narrates from Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam, إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. So we are talking about this verse, right? Verse number 31 of Surah An-Nur. That zinat, that type of zina, that's you can make public. What are they? الزينة الظاهرة الكحل والخاتم. Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam said that it's kuhl, eye darkener, and the rings. And the next hadith from Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam, وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. Women are not allowed to make public their zina, except that which is apparent. What are those zina that are apparent, that are visible? Okay. الخاتم والمسكة والهي القلوب. The rings and bracelets. Rings and bracelets. Okay. Okay. So now let's go to the third phrase on verse number 31. So we did. Now we go to the third phrase in this verse. We did this part, right? وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ. We did this part. وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. And they should not expose and make a display of their zina, except that zina which is already visible in public. Okay. We studied that. وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُورِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. And women have to bring down. So khimar is a big piece of head covering, bigger than the. So there are a number of different types of head coverings. Let me tell you what are they. There's jalabib. Jalabib is really long. Jalabib could be all the way. It's a head covering that comes all the way, perhaps lower than your knees. So we have jalabib. Jalabib are really long. They could be all the way lower from the head all the way to the knees. Right? That's jalabib. The plural, the singular is jilbab. Plural is jalabib. And then they have khimar. The plural of which is khumur. Khumur is a head covering that comes until here in this area. It's not as long as jalabib. It's not very long. It's a head covering, and then there is the al-qina. Qina is also a head covering, which is of usually of a thinner material, not very thick material. Okay. وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. And they should bring down their khimar, their head coverings. Jayb is this area, chest, the bosom, the chest where you wear your necklace, this area. So there was a time when Arab women would just put a head scarf on and let it hang, right? Their head scarf is on the head and it's hanging. And then their area of their chest and lower their area that's between the breast and the neck, this would be open and people will see. So Islam said that you have to bring down and cover the area below your neck and your chest, between the breasts and the neck, this area. Cover it with your headscarves. That's basically what it means. I've not seen any hadith with respect to the explanation of this phrase of the Noble Quran. وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جَلَابِيبِهِنَّ. And the verb, ضَرَبَ يَضْرِبُ, is a verb that's used in many, many, many different ways. Almost every action you could use with a ضَرَبَ. So you have to hit وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جَلَابِيبِهِنَّ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. To hit your breasts with your headscarf. So it means to hit it, to cover it. This is the book of Al-Wafi by Mullah Muhsin Faid Kashani, was a great muhaddith, volume number 22. And here at page number 699, he has a very good explanation. Al-khumuru jam'u khimar. Khumur is the plural of khimar, وهو المقنع. He says there's no difference between khimar and maqna'a. Maqna'a, qanna yuqanni'u, taqanna'a ra'sah. That means to cover your head. Khammara yukhammiru, that also means to cover your head. So the root verb mean the same thing. But in some books I've seen that they've said that maqna'a used to be of thinner clothing texture. Yeah. And khumar is a little bigger than maqna', but at any rate. أريد بضربها على الجيوب إسدالها على الصدور ليسترنها وما فوقها من الرقبة تغييرا لعادة الجاهلية. So Quran says to hit your headscarves over your bosoms. So it means that you have to cover the bosoms and the area above it. So when it comes here, it's not necessarily there. Then, so the area above the chest is the neck. If you bring the headscarf and hit it this way, it doesn't necessarily cover the neck, but it should cover the juyub, which is the area that's the opening in your collars and where you wear your necklace. So Quran ordered the Arab women to change their traditions of the time from before Islam. إِذْ كَانَتْ جُيُوبُهُنَّ وَاسِعَةً, because their collars, where the lapel of the shirt is, where the collar is, the opening for the neck and the shirt, this used to be big. This used to be pretty wide. يَبْدُو مِنْهَا نُحُورُهُنَّ وَصُدُورُهُنَّ, and their chest and their breasts would be visible from their collars. وَكُنَّ يَسَدِّلْنَ الْخَمْرَ مِنْ وَرَائِهِنَّ, and they would al-khumur, their headscarves, they would put on behind their shoulders. So Islam says, no, don't put behind your shoulder. Bring it here and put it over. Okay. فَيَبْقَى قِدَّامُهُنَّ مَكْشُوفًا, and that way they were, in the time of Jahiliyyah, this portion of the body of women would be visible. وفي الآية دلالة على عدم وجوب الستر الوجه كما لا يخفى, and this verse clearly indicates that women do not have to cover their faces, and that he's right. So the ayah says that all you have to do is bring the khimar, bring the headscarf, and cover your breast, not cover your face. That's not a requirement. Okay, let's go to the verse again. Okay. So we did this part also. وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا لِبُعُولَتِهِنَّ. This means that they are not allowed to expose their zina except to their husbands. أو آبائهن, or their fathers. أو آباء بولتهن, or the fathers of their husbands, their fathers-in-law. أو أبنائهن, their sons. أو أبناء بولتهن, or the sons of their husbands. أو إخوانهن, or their brothers, or their nephews, or their nephews from their sisters, or nephews from their brothers. أو نسائهن, or other women. Oh, that's pretty clear. That okay. There. So, which type of zinat is the Noble Quran talking about here? Al-Furu' min al-Kafi. Al-Furu'u min al-Kafi, volume number 5. Here we go. Page number 520. ما يحل إليه النظر من المرأة. I asked Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salatu was-salam. سألت أبا عبد الله عليه السلام من الذراعين من المرأة أهما من الزينة التي قال الله تبارك وتعالى ولا يبدين زينتهن إلا لبعولتهن. That area that a woman is not allowed to expose except to her husband or to her father or to her father-in-law or to her uncle or to her son or to her nephew and other women is, I asked him, is al-dhira, from elbow to here, the elbow area, forearm area, this area. Is that part of it? So the woman is not allowed to make it public on the street to other people, just in the family. She could make this area visible. Is that one of that area? So the Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam said, قال نعم. He said yes. وما دون الخمار من الزينة وما دون السوارين. Any area beyond the headscarf. So any area that has headscarf is covering, and any area that's beyond the bracelet area. So bracelets and beyond. That is, women are not allowed to expose it except to their husbands or fathers and brothers and so forth. Okay? So there are a bunch of categories of people mentioned in this verse. As I mentioned, husbands, fathers, fathers-in-law, their sons, the sons of their husbands, their brothers, their nephews from their brothers, their nephews from their sisters, أو نسائهن, and other women. So there's a hadith that women should not expose themselves to Christians and Jewish women because they will narrate their body parts to their husbands. So this nisaihinna, a lot of scholars have said that it means only Muslim women. Nisaihin. So, but perhaps I'll show you that hadith to you. So from other women, for this, you cannot make it public to other men. To women, you can make it public, basically. Except the other women will. There's a little caveat there that I'll explain, inshallah, tabaraka wa ta'ala, when we come to that hadith. أو ما ملكت أيمانهن, or a person who is a slave. A person who is a slave can. A woman does not have to cover her body parts. Well, private parts she has to cover, obviously, but the body parts that we mentioned, like forearms and whatnot, from her slave, if she is a slave owner. If she's a slave owner. And there's a chapter here. Because slavery was big, it was a time. And Al-Kafi, volume number 5, page number 531, ما يحل للمملوك النظر إليه من مولاته. A slave, what parts of the body of her, of his mistress, his owner, he can see if he is owned by a woman. I asked Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam, a slave man, can he see the woman, the hair of her mistress, of her owner? He said, La bas. He said, there's no prohibition there. It's okay. And there are many other hadith also here. But since we don't own slaves, these are irrelevant. These are hadith. Then we come to this part of the verse, أو التابعين غير أولي الإربة من الرجال. Followers. Which followers? Those followers who do not have any desire for women. So back at the time, there were, of the older times, there were people would be beggars, and they would usually have mental problems, and they would not be interested in women, and they would follow caravans, and they would follow people on the street, and they would ask for food, and they wouldn't really have any sexual desires. So the word tabi'in, followers, would be those people who chase caravans and whatnot. But there is no hadith in that regard that's what it means. That's the word of the interpreters. Quran itself has mentioned who are at-tabi'in. They are غير أولي الإربة من الرجال. Tabi'in followers are those men who do not have any desire for women. So if a person becomes so old, or if a person has a psychological issue that he does not have any desire in woman, a woman does not have to cover herself from him. Okay? A person is very old, he's no longer interested in women because of his feebility, because of his weakness, or if a person is crazy. Here is in Al-Furu' min al-Kafi, there's a chapter on غير أولي الإربة من الرجال. Zurara says, I asked Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam, أو التابعين غير أولي الإربة من الرجال. Who are these people? So said, الأحمق الذي لا يأتي النساء. A person who has mental issues. A person who he doesn't have a good brain. He has mental issues. And because of his psychological issues, he's no longer interested in women. He doesn't have any desire for women. So such a person, women do not have to cover themselves from. سألته عن أولي الإربة من الرجال قال أحمق المولى عليه الذي لا يأتي النساء. A person who's crazy and he cannot take care of himself, therefore he has a guardian, a crazy person who has a guardian over himself because somebody has to take care of him, make his decisions for him. Such a person who doesn't care about women do not have to cover themselves from him. Okay. Then there's this section of the verse, أو الطفل الذي لم يظهروا على عورات النساء. Sorry. What happened? طفل is اسم الجمع, اسم الجنس. اسم الجنس, you could use it for one person, you can use it for plural. So, الطفل, children, boys, children. الذين لم يظهروا على عورات النساء. Those who they are so young that yet they do not know about women's private parts. They don't have no idea, no conception of women's private parts. Or لم يظهروا, because فأظهره الله عليه in Surah Al-Hujurat, to inform. They are not informed yet. They have no knowledge of women's private parts yet. Such little kids, you don't have to cover yourself from them. Or لم يظهروا على عورات النساء, to be able to because ظهر يظهر also means to be victorious. A person who's victorious over the private parts of women, meaning that he has the capability, biologically, he has the ability to carry out sexual intercourse. So a child who is not able to carry out sexual intercourse, this verse could mean two ways, right? Two different things, but essentially they're the same. A child that's so innocent, so young that he doesn't know about women's private parts, what they mean, sexual intercourse, what it is. They don't know. Or a person, a child who is not yet able to perform sexual intercourse. So you don't have to cover yourselves from them. وَلَا يَضْرِبْنَ بِأَرْجُلِهِنَّ. Okay. The next section would be وَلَا يَضْرِبْنَ بِأَرْجُلِهِنَّ. وَلَا يَضْرِبْنَ بِأَرْجُلِهِنَّ لِيُعْلَمَ مَا يُخْفِينَ مِنْ زِينَتِهِنَّ. So women used to wear khalkhal, right? Women used to wear khalkhal on their, like a bracelet on their feet, an ornament that women used to wear that used to be made of gold or silver with bells and whatnot on their feet, on their ankles. So do not stomp, a woman, the Quran says, do not stomp your feet in order to incite men that you are wearing something of beauty. So you're inciting them, so you're encouraging them, so you're putting thoughts into their minds. Ali ibn Ibrahim al-Qummi in his tafsir, volume number 2, page number 102. وَلَا يَضْرِبْنَ بِأَرْجُلِهِنَّ لِيُعْلَمَ مَا يُخْفِينَ مِنْ زِينَتِهِنَّ. And they should not stomp their feet, stomp their steps. So in order to inform men, in order to make it public, مَا يُخْفِينَ مِنْ زِينَتِهِنَّ, that they are hiding beauty under their dress, that they're so beautiful, that they are so good looking, that they have jewelry. They should not do that. يقول ولا تضرب إحدى رجليه بالأخرى ليقرع الخلخال بالخلخال. Quran says that do not hit your one foot to the other foot, so the khalkhal, the bracelet that's for the feet, right? That jewelry would make sound, would ring, and you'll attract attention. Don't do that. And the second volume of the Al-Usul al-Kafi, there's a chapter on Haya. Let me read some of the hadith from that book. Al-Usul min al-Kafi, Bab al-Haya. Haya means to have respect for oneself. So you do not do something that's immodest. That's Haya. Self-respect and modesty and chastity. Al-Haya'u min al-Iman. So basically, al-haya means that quality in the human being through which that you would feel embarrassed to expose that which is private, that which is not supposed to be public. That is haya. Al-Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam said, Al-haya'u min al-iman wal-iman fil jannah. Haya comes from iman. And Iman takes you to Jannah. Haya is a part of Iman. And Iman takes you to Jannah, takes you to paradise. So if you do not have Haya, you don't have Iman. Your Iman is not complete. And if you do not have Iman, you don't go to Jannah. Al-Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam said, Al-Haya wal-Ifafu wal-Ayyu أعني عي اللسان لا عي القلب من الإيمان. Haya, self-respect and to be modest. والعفاف, chastity. والعي, to be self-controlling of your tongue. It's control over your tongue, not to say disrespectful things. These all come from Iman. These are all signs of Iman. These are all articles of Iman. Al-Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam said, لا إيمان لمن لا حياء له. A person who doesn't have haya, he doesn't have iman. Okay. Okay, I've spoken over an hour. I think this is good. Now there are more narrations with regard to tasattur, with regard to self-covering, but I think I've covered quite a bit. Look at these ahadith. Al-Furu' min al-Kafi lil-Kulayni rahmatullahi alayh, volume number 5, Bab al-Tasattur, page number 518, the chapter of covering oneself. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله ليس للنساء من سراوات الطريق شيء ولكنها تمشي في جانب الحائط والطريق. So Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم said women should not walk in the middle of the street. So back when there were no cars, people used to walk on the streets, and there would be also animals, carts and donkeys and horses. And if you had to go from one house, one neighborhood to the other, there were roads, there were streets, you had to go, you would walk, right? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said women should not walk in the middle of the street. And remember, in the time, women were also tormented, and women were taunted, and if a good woman passed, people would talk, people would make comments, and people would look and gaze. So it was very important for a woman to how she conducts herself in public, right? So if a woman, it makes a big difference if a woman is walking in the middle of the street or she walks on the side. It's respectful and proper to walk on the side of the street, not in the middle of the street. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, women should not walk in the middle of the street. They should walk where the walls are, next to the walls or on the sides of the street. Okay. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أي امرأة تطيبت ثم خرجت من بيتها فهي تلعن حتى ترجع. Any woman who applies perfume and goes out, so he is cursed by Allah until she comes back. And in another hadith, let me show you, if I could find it. Yeah, it says that she has to take a bath. A woman who puts on perfume for a man other than her husband, then she's cursed and she has to wash it off. At any rate, I cannot find that hadith right now, but that hadith also exists. There are more than one hadith that prohibit women from applying perfume for men other than her husband. لا ينبغي للمرأة أن تجمر ثوبها إذا خرجت من بيتها. It's not proper for a woman to apply fragrance to her clothing before she goes out of her house. لا ينبغي للمرأة أن تنكشف بين اليهودية والنصرانية فإنهن يصفن ذلك لأزواجهن. It's not appropriate for a woman to undress in front of a Christian or a Jewish woman, because these women will go and describe her body parts to their husbands. Okay. فيما أخذ رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله من البيع على النساء لا يحتبين ولا يقعدن مع الرجال في الخلاء. الاحتباء. Okay. الاحتباء is to sit on your rear side, and while your heels are on the ground and your knees are high. Okay, that's al-ihtiba. If you sit on your butt and your heels are on the ground and your feet are and your knees are above the ground. Okay, I don't know how you express that's that sort of sitting down. How do you explain that in English? There's a term for it. I don't know. So that's al-ihtiba. Because at that time, at the time of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, most Arabs did not wear trousers or jeans or pants. So it was mostly long qamis for women, or they used to wear the cloth, the loin cloth. So the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he took bay'ah from women, he made it obligatory that when women sit, they do not sit in ihtiba, because that will make their private parts visible. Because if you're not wearing pants or shalwar or trousers, and you sit like that, and it's only a skirt, or you're only wearing loincloth, your private parts would be visible, right? And also his bay'ah included this stipulation that women would not socialize with men alone. They would not stay alone in a private place with other men. In public place, it's okay, but in private, do not stay with a man in a private. Okay. Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, إن أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام نهى عن القنازع. And القنازع is, you have seen Chinese movies. Chinese people, they shave their heads and then they leave one spot with hair, and then with a long braid. So that is qanaza'. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam has prohibited that you may not do this to your children, that you shave their head and then leave one spot with long hair. That's not a proper thing to do. Wal-Qusasi. He has, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam, has prohibited qusas. Qusas is the plural of qussa, is the hair that comes until here. So it seems to me that he prohibited this for women, perhaps, or men, perhaps women. Qanaza is for children, and qusas is for, seems to me that would be for women. So they should braid their hair, and they should not leave their hair like men do. Over their shoulder is lower than their ears on the sides. ونقش الخضاب على الراحة. ونقش الخضاب على الراحة. And to draw with henna on the palm of your hand. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam said, don't do that. Okay. لا تحل لامرأة، قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله، لا تحل لامرأة حاضت أن تتخذ قصة أو جمة. When a woman sees her menstruation cycle, she should not I'm sorry, I made a mistake in the previous hadith. Qanaza', Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salatu wasalam prohibited from qanaza'. Qanaza' is that you shave the head of a child and leave a long braid, right? Qusas is the hair here. The hair and the forehead. So the hair of the forehead, that's qusas, long forehead here. He prohibited from that. So perhaps that's for women, it seems to me. ونقش الخضاب and yeah, for women, that's for women, exactly. And the drawing with henna on your palm of the hands. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam said, إنما هلكت نساء بني إسرائيل من قبل القصص والنقش الخضاب. The women of Bani Israel got involved in sins because of this, because of the hair of the forehead. So if you leave the hair of the forehead come out of your headscarf, that's not allowed. Okay, the women of Bani Israel, they were destroyed. They went astray because of this, because of leaving their hair of the forehead, and then drawing in the palm of the hand. لا تحل لامرأة حاضت أن تتخذ قصة أو جمة. When a woman sees her menstruation cycle, she's having her period, she should not cut the head of her head from here, from the forehead or the side of the hair. Qussa is this, and Jumma is the hair that comes to your shoulder. Okay. So I made a mistake in the previous hadith. So Naha anil qanazi wal qusas, he did not prohibit women from having hair over their shoulders. Okay. He prohibited women having hair on the forehead. Okay. They asked Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salatu was-salam أن النساء يجعلن في رؤوسهن القرامل. Women using fake hair. Using fake hair. Is it permissible? So their hair would look longer, their hair would look more dense, right? So Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam said it's allowed if it's suf, if it's wool, وما كان من شعر امرأة نفسها, or if it's from her own hair, if she's using her own hair. وكره للمرأة أن تجعل القرامع من شعر غيرها. Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam did not recommend. He disliked that a woman would use another woman's hair to make her own hair dense. He uses it as an addition. فإن وصلت بصوف أو بشعر نفسها فلا يضرها. If it's wool or if it's her own hair, that doesn't have, that will not harm her. Okay. Al-Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi, Al-Imam Baqir alayhi salam was asked about women using artificial hair to make their hair dense. Said لا بأس على المرأة بما تزينت لزوجها. He said there's no problem with that. A woman wants to beautify herself, do makeup herself, make her look better for her husband. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I hope there are some more verses that are inshallah tabaraka wa ta'ala, but I covered the important parts. There are some more verses, but I will cover those inshallah tabaraka wa ta'ala in another session. Okay. May Allah bless you all. Allah keep you well. Thank you so much.